I went from being a fitness and nutrition coach to a much more taboo profession. And in this video, I'm going to share exactly why I decided to do it, all of the fears that came up online for me, also how this soul calling came from me, when exactly it started, and a lot of gold nuggets that I learned on the way. So first of all, we need to wind back a little bit. I moved to the US in 2016 and I started working out. I was very passionate about health and fitness. I started getting into it. However, the reason why I got into fitness and nutrition to begin with, it was from a place of lack of self-love. From a place of I need to fix myself. I need to make myself better. Like I'm not good enough. So I need to look a certain way in order to have a relationship. I need to look a certain way in order to feel worthy or whatever that may be, right? So in 2018, after I've been working out for a few years and been kind of like in it, I started to learn it as a profession, became a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, and I started working at gyms, right? In 2020, when COVID started, you know how they closed the gyms, right? So they closed the gyms and I had to stop working for the gym and I had to start working for myself. And that's when I became an online fitness coach. And in 2020 also, parallel to that, there was something really big that was happening in my life. It brought me to a place where I was in a very, very low place in my life. I had to go only higher. So I started working with a coach to help me to heal myself. I remember I had like 3 things I wanted to get from this. I wanted to learn how to say no. I wanted to better my communication skills, and another thing, I have it written somewhere. Anyways, I started this journey of self-healing, self-discovery, self-exploration, and slowly I became aware that my relationship with food and my body was very poor, especially my relationship with food. I was engaging with binge eating, emotional eating, overeating, super restrictive diets, like super restricting myself and then kind of going to a binge. So there was like this place of like really, really unhealthy relationship with food. And I felt a lot of shame for it because I'm a fitness and nutrition coach and I should know better, right? So the fact that it came online for me was very like scary for me to admit. So I started this journey and it took me like a few months actually to really heal that, to really go into that, understanding where it's coming from. And it's obviously something that started way back in childhood, which I'm probably going to talk about more in a future video. I'm going to kind of get into that story of how I developed my emotional eating and negative relationship with food. I went into that and I started becoming very passionate about helping women to overcome their negative relationship with food and body image, because I was able to overcome it by really diving in deep and do the deep healing work instead of just putting a band-aid on it and just like, you know, try another diet, right? It's made me realize like this is a passion that I have and I want to help women to do the same. So I shifted my business and I started working with women on overcoming their negative relationship with food and body image. And I've been doing it for a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years. And with the process of doing that, I got a little bit deeper and deeper. However, I used to work only with the psychological side of things, meaning I used to work with the mental aspect of it and maybe a little bit of physical exercises of like kind of like feeling your body and feeling your hunger and fullness cues and, you know, balanced plate, mindful eating, all of that stuff. But I kind of touched a little bit on the actual somatic, like the body thing. And later in my journey, I went, of course, deeper and deeper into my healing journey and I start getting into the chakras. The chakras. I'm going to be talking a lot about the chakras, especially the 7 main chakras. Those are the 7 main ones that I'm working with today. But before we get there, I want to say that I started incorporating that into my life. Now, if you don't know what the chakras are just energy centers that we have in our bodies. We have way more than 7, but the 7 main ones, those are the 7 mains that we're working with, the ones that I'm working with. And each one has its own characteristics, has its own, it's basically like a map. It's a map to show us who we are, where we at on the map, and why we are the way that we are. So it's starting from the energetic, right? So the way I like to explain it, instead of just staying on the psychological side of things, which is like kind of like the mental side of things, I decided to go a little bit deeper into the physical body, emotional body, and the energetic body. So all the way to the root cause, instead of just fixing a symptom. So in this case, emotional eating or binge eating, or even in other cases, stress, anxiety, depression, instead of just fixing that one symptom, it's going into the root cause of what is causing it in the energetic body, all the way to the root, and heal that root cause and automatically kind of affect all of the symptoms. So I started working with the chakras in my own life, as well as starting working around with my family, my partner, and then I started to incorporate that into my coaching. So I still had the messaging of I help women to overcome negative relationship with food and body image, but when they actually got to my program, I started working on the 7 main energy centers. So I just want to give you like a little bit of rundown of what the energy centers are, so you can stay here and you understand like what we're working with and like why is it such a powerful map to work with. So first we have the root chakra. Is the first one that's coming online. It's in the base of the spine, and this is the one that's related to the groups we came from: family, race we came from, country we came from, religion, past lives, generational stuff, childhood stuff, the society programming, the collective is in the root chakra. So as you can see, there's a lot that's happening in the root chakra. The root chakra is associated with basic survival needs. So, you know, food, money, water, shelter, safety, security, stability, belonging, and groundedness, being grounded to the earth. So as you can see, there's a lot that is going on in the root chakra. So when we're talking about emotional eating or binge eating or, you know, eating disorders, a lot of times it starts from the root chakra, because when we don't have a place of safety when we're kids, then a lot of times we develop some kind of addiction, which is more in the second chakra, which that's when it gets a little bit complicated, but bear with me, because when we work with the chakras, we basically understand when and why that eating disorder even start from. And usually it's something that started from childhood. And a lot of times what I've found with clients, that it's actually not just from childhood, it's from generations. So my mom, for example, I'm just giving an example of one client that I had, that she had, you know, her needs were met as far as we know, but her mom had eating disorders. So it's kind of passed down to her. Now, of course, when I'm saying having her needs met, it's a very deep and wide area, right? But the idea is that a lot of time we develop emotional eatings when we, you know, don't have space to feel our emotions, or we develop the addiction, which is in the second chakra, which is the second energy center, which is in the womb space area. And this one is associated with one-on-one relationships. So we're going from the groups we came from into one-on-one relationships. And that's where we have intimate relationships, connection with others, sexuality, creativity, emotions. And of course, there's a lot more, which I'm going to share in future videos all about the chakras. So stay tuned for that, because we're going to dive deep. The third energy center is in the rib cage area, and that's the solar plexus. The solar plexus is everything related to our sense of self, to our identity in the world. So we went from groups to one-on-one relationships, and now we're our sense of self, our identity in the world. So everything related to self-worth, self-esteem, confidence, personal power, you know, setting boundaries with people. It's having that strong self-access and to be in that truth and in our power, our authentic power is what I mean, which again, I'm going to talk about more in future videos. So from there, we're going into the heart chakra, which is in the center of our chest. And this one is related to compassion, forgiveness, unconditional love, self-love. This is the one that is the bridge between the lower chakras that related to the physical realm, this world that we live in. And it's the bridge from that to the spiritual realm, to the ones that have up here. Then from the heart chakra, we're going into the third chakra, which is everything about our communication, speaking our truth, expression, creativity. I mean, it's coming out from our throat. Sound, listening skills, it's in the throat chakra. And then we're going from there to our third eye, which that's where we have our inner wisdom, intuition, psychic abilities. We all have psychic abilities. And this is where we have that dream world, or, you know, our mind is connected to our third eye. And then as well, we have the crown chakra, which is the last one. And this one is related to our spiritual connection, our oneness, our knowing our life's path. It's like this knowing that we just know. So there's of course a lot more to it, which I'm going to talk about more a lot in depth in details. I just wanted to give you like a little fast rundown of like understanding what the energy centers are and how we're using it as a map. And it's very important to know that when we work with it, we want to make sure that we start with the lower ones, because this is the foundation of the building. So imagine like you have, I'm going to talk about it a lot, but imagine you have like a foundation of a building that is kind of wobbly or blocked or whatever, and how the rest of the building is going to look on top of it. Not so stable, not so grounded, right? So we want to make sure we start from the bottom. And the bottom is where we have a lot of, again, childhood trauma, generational trauma, a lot of, even past lives trauma, a lot of, issues like stress, anxiety, eating disorders, addictions, lack of boundaries, codependency, negative relationship with money. If you want to learn a little bit more in depth about the chakras and how you can use it as a map to unlock your full potential, I'm hosting a free webinar for Chakra Awakening, Unleash Your Full Potential. Find the link in the description down below. I would love to see you. We only have limited spots, so make sure you claim your spot. Also, I created a chakra guide where you can also find in the description down below that includes qualities of each chakra, psychological blocks, and affirmations for each chakra. So it can be a little bit helpful tool for you. But in the webinar, we're going to go a little bit deeper, and way deeper actually than the guide. We're going into everything. When I started working with clients with going to the root into the energetic body, I found that this is really kind of covers way more than just negative relationship with food and body image. I've been seeing like amazing breakthroughs that clients have, not just around food and body image, but also around setting boundaries, around relationships, around relationship with money, around feeling safe within themselves. Like, for example, one of my clients, when we first started, she didn't feel safe in her body at all, so she didn't feel safe anywhere. And now she's telling me like, I take safety with me everywhere I go. In the beginning of October, I took a course that's going to help me to create an online course for women who wants to overcome negative relationship with food and body image. And I did all of the steps by the course, and I kept on clashing into the wall. I just could not get it off the ground. It just, something didn't add up for me. Something was very weird about the situation and how everything went. After 2 months of trying really hard and trying to fight it and try to make it work, something that clearly was not meant to happen, I was deciding to take a month off, take a month of rest, just to rest and just see what's gonna come up. And literally, the third day of rest, I had this strong clarity coming in that said, yes, of course you are not succeeding because you're not. Why are you playing small? Why are you making yourself hiding behind, helping women with overcoming negative relationship with food and body image, which there's nothing wrong with that, but why are you hiding behind this message rather than talk about what you're actually doing, which is working with the energetic body, working with the physical body, working with the emotional body, right? So like we're going all the way to the root. Why are you playing small and having yourself just a little window when you're like helping with all of this, all of the chakras? So it made me realize that I had so many fears around speaking my truth. I had so many fears around saying what I'm actually doing, what I'm actually here to do. And I don't even know why. There was like a fear that like totally shut me down. But after 3 days, I was kind of talking to a friend and I told her like, I don't know if I want to, I want to go back on YouTube, and I'm not sure if I want to like do it, like talk about emotional eating, negative relationship with food or body image, or if I want to talk about the chakras. And she asked me, well, what do you like to talk about more? And before she even finished the sentence, I was saying the chakras. And she was like, there you go. And that was the moment. All it took, it was that little question. And that moment I was like, oh my God, yes, that's what I want to talk about. That's what I'm here to do. This is my purpose, what I came here to do. Why am I hiding behind something that is not really what it is, right? So it was a whole process that was really scary for me to, first of all, come out with a messaging that I'm shifting my business. And also I did do Reiki level 1 and 2, but there was also some fear of like imposter syndrome. I don't know if that's really what it is, but it's like a fear of like, am I really who I think I am? Although I was actually helping women with all of these things, but I could still feel like, what if it's not true? What if I'm not like, what if it's not really who I am? What if I can't really do it, right? What if I don't even know what I'm doing, right? So like all of these like voices that kept coming in and like, try to, the ego tried to protect me pretty much, make me feel like stay safe, right? In my little box. I was kind of sitting with it. I was meditating on it. I was really feeling into it and just like started to, put it out there. And the moment that I put it out there, something shifted. Not only for me internally, but also obviously from the world. I offered this free chakra guide that I created, and the amount of people that wanted it online was insane. And I was like, whoa, I did not know there are so many people that are into the chakras. By the way, if you want that free guide, it's in the description below. Go there and find it. It just was really interesting experience to see that all of a sudden, it was all of a sudden like becoming normal. There was like that one little thing that was so freaking scary to change my identity. I've been this fitness and nutrition coach helping women overcoming negative relationship with food and body image for so many years. All of a sudden changing my whole identity and talk about what I'm so passionate about, that was kind of like private. It was kind of my thing among me and my partner and my family and my friends, and maybe with my clients a little bit, but not a message that I put out there to the world. It was really scary for me to talk about it. It's really interesting because what actually led to that, few weeks earlier, I was really working on my throat chakra, which is all about, remember, speaking your truth. It's all about saying what is true for you, like really speaking your truth and communicate clearly. And I was really working on my throat chakra. And it's really interesting to see that after I was opening my throat chakra, which was, by the way, completely blocked. I mean, the stuff that came out of my throat chakra, you don't even want to know. I want to share a little bit more in depth about what exactly I mean when I say I work with the chakras. And I want to share how this soul calling came online for me initially. So like I said, I started my healing journey 5 years ago, but about a year ago, I had my big spiritual awakening where I had a whole full-on Kundalini awakening all the way from my feet up. If you don't know what Kundalini awakening, I'm going to say it really short. There's a lot more to it, but it's basically the life force energy that we all have in the base of our spine. So once it's like awakened, it goes up your spine through the chakras and comes out your crown. And what I felt when that happened, it felt like I had a helmet on my head for maybe lifetimes, and it just came out. And all of a sudden I knew all the truth. I knew why I came here, what my purpose is. And also I could see all of the freaking masks that I had to put on my entire life that are not freaking true. They're not who I am for real. So I had this whole thing. And then after my big spiritual awakening, I started going into energy healing. So the way I tapped into it was through meditations and plant medicine ceremonies. So it basically got activated in me. So I started having this thing where my fingers were just moving like this. It started like this, just like a little bit. And then slowly it went deeper, and it was like one time, like I remember sitting in a meditation and my hand was like moving like this by itself. And I was like, whoa, what is this? Something is take over my hand, because I'm not moving it. It just moves. It's the energies like channeling through my hands. So it was a process for me to, first of all, using it. I mean, I've been using it on myself for many months. And then I started using it on my friends and my family. And then I started to incorporate that with my clients. But before I started to incorporate that with my clients, I actually took a Reiki course, level 1 and 2. So it's really interesting because in the Reiki course, even though, we learn about healing and about like channeling the energy and everything, but Reiki, no offense to Reiki, I mean, I think it's a great practice and I think it's amazing. But to me, it feels to me, and it may be completely different for other people, but to me it feels like Reiki is like very old compared to this energy. I call it energy keyboarding because it feels like I'm using a keyboard on the infinite energy field. So this feels more futuristic. It feels like it's from the future. So even though I did do the Reiki certification, but I haven't been using Reiki exactly with my clients. I've been using this energy keyboarding thing. It was like a process that was activated in me, and just trying it on my family and clients and myself, and see like, oh wow, I can use it for physical issues, like for actual pain, like physical pain. Or wow, I can use it to move emotions, like emotional things, or also mental things, like, disturbing thoughts, or which I know Reiki is very similar, but this is the way I could relate to it more deeply, that, oh my God, I can really, like, this feels like a futuristic technology, if that makes sense. And now what I'm doing with my sessions now is I incorporate this energy healing, but this is not the main thing that we're doing. It's actually just a little piece. The main thing that we're doing is somatic guidance, is basically, so there's the energy healing along with somatic guidance, which I found this combination of those two things is really powerful. It really helps my clients to see, themselves from age 5, to actually see this past life vision. Or I know it sounds a little scary, but really what I found also is that whatever is coming up for you, it's exactly what you're ready for. You're never going to get something you're not ready for. Also, because actually, if I feel like we are going a little faster, I always use this sentence with my clients that says, please show me only what I'm ready to see. So basically, the process is that we're going into the body, like there could be anything emotional, physical, or mental, and we are finding where it's at in the body. Like, let's say, oh, I feel this in my solar plexus, right here. And then we're going to go with like some kind of guidance with the energy healing to identify what it is. So like, what's the, identify exactly what is this thing that you feel here? Like, have a name for it, have a shape for it, have a color for it, whatever it is. From there, we are starting to receive information, wisdom, and guidance from your own body. So I'm just going to basically ask the questions, and the person in front of me is asking that question to their body. So for example, what do you want to teach me? When did you come here? And so there's a process where you have a conversation with your own body, with a part of you that's inside of you from your own body, and you start to develop a relationship with it. You're starting to get to know it. And then what happens, it could take direction to literally anywhere. It could go into expressing an emotion. It could be maybe anger, maybe sadness, maybe, move the energy in a way that, there's an emotion that's coming up. Maybe there is something that from childhood that we can reframe. So like, let's say going back to age 5 and like reframe that memory that happened, or maybe age 2 months and reframe that memory that happened in a few ways that we're doing it. There's a lot of things that can happen. So we basically getting to know it. And what I found that's interesting is that usually those parts of ourselves that's inside of us that we basically don't want to have in our body, they actually like trying to protect us. They actually come here originally because they're trying to protect us, and they're trying to keep us safe. Even though maybe it doesn't keep us safe right now, but it probably kept us safe when we were kids. but right now maybe it's actually bothering us. Maybe it's something that we want to, you know, remove from us. So my belief, the way I personally like to work, is not necessarily remove things, but it's more like getting to know it first, sit with it, be with it, and whenever it's ready, whenever you're ready, we're transmuting it back into light where it came from. We're telling it it's safe, you can go back into light. So this is a process, very, very like fast, but of course there's a lot more to it. Usually I'll send them home with self-love assignments that includes like prompts that are specific to each energy centers. And also what I wanted to say, that usually when we're working with that energy healing and somatic guidance, a lot of times we're seeing different colors. So like we'll see fear that's in the chest, and fear is root chakra. So, and red color is root chakra too. So we can kind of like play with this map with what's actually happening in our body. So sometimes we'll feel like, one of my clients will feel like a huge rock is blocking their solar plexus, which is their self-esteem, personal power, self-worth, all of these things. So when we work with the chakras as a map, this is how it looks like. And the prompts that I'm giving them home, depending on what we're working with and depending kind of like where the energy takes us, the prompts are specifically for each chakra with what we're working on. So like we said, you know, like let's say root chakra, a lot of inner child work. Of course, there's a lot of shadow work everywhere because all of them have shadows, right? I mean, we're getting more into shadows, we're getting more into triggers, like how to change, like how to transform triggers into portals to your what you came here to do, to your full alignment, like to your highest timeline. We learn how to do that. So basically with the prompts, we're going into like basically shadow work, but the way we're doing it is in video journaling. And the reason why I like to do video journaling or recording is because when you are actually talking about it out loud and you hear yourself, you can also, first of all, hear yourself, which is a great number one. And number two is you can actually be more in tune with your body. You can really feel what's happening in your body. And like, as you speak, it's like, whoa, as I'm saying it, I'm noticing this like tightness in my throat. As I'm saying it, I'm noticing like a knot in my stomach. So you can really be in tune with how your body is communicating with you, like all the time, especially when you're talking about something. You're not just telling me a story, but you actually notice what's happening in your body as you're talking about it, and you can actually feel where you hold it in your body and maybe find wisdom and information from it. And another thing that, like all kinds of things that we're doing is like physical exercises on how to reconnect with our bodies and how to learn how to receive information from our body and learn how to listen to our body. So of course it doesn't come only with, you know, hunger and fullness cues when we're talking about relationship with food. It's coming to whenever we have stress, whenever we have anxiety, like there's probably an emotion that needs to move. There's probably, whenever we get triggered, there's probably something there in the core wound that is still there, that's kind of like, it's like operating us in a certain way. So it's like getting to know all of these things and getting to know our bodies and develop like a deep, very deep, intimate relationship with our bodies. And then of course we do practices such as affirmations, meditations, mantras. However, those things are amazing. They're great. I mean, meditations have been key for me, and I definitely like to give that to my clients. But to me, those things are kind of like the icing on the cake. It's like, and it's really interesting because I find a lot of people that are doing this type of work, or they're working with the chakras, a lot of times people will just say like, oh, I'm meditating about it, you know, I'm you know, going into like an energy healer. So nothing wrong with energy healing and meditating, but it's almost like you have to go to the root of it in order for you to actually have different scenarios playing in your life, if that makes sense. Like it's, you know, going into an energy healing that's going to align your chakras. I mean, that's fine, however works for you, but it's not really what's gonna, it's not, you don't really go to the root of it. You basically you outsource your power, you go to someone else. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But incorporating that with, I mean, I do energy healing, but I don't really like to call myself energy healer because I don't like the stigma that it has. And the work that we're doing is more about like, it's like I'm like a GPS basically. I'm a GPS. I'm gonna show you how to go into your body and like really feel that. There's nothing wrong with it again, but it is really important to make sure that we're going deeper. Because a lot of people tell me like, oh, I do chakra work. I work on my root chakra. I work on this chakra. I work on that chakra. Oh, I went to an energy healer to open my throat chakra. All of these things are great. However, you have to really know and experience and really go into the depth of the emotion and depth of your body, like your physical body, like somatic, right? Go into the depth of it and getting to know it and feel it all the way to the end of it in order for it to move through and learn from it too. Like learn from these experiences and take it as tools for your life. Because honestly, you know, I mean, I'm gonna share about my story in a different video at some point, but I don't think I would be where I'm at today if it wasn't for my experiences. And I had a really rough life. Like I had, you know, I left my parents' house when I was 14. I was born and raised in a cult in Israel, and there's a lot more to it, but I'll share more in the future. But the idea is that there was a lot of difficulties that I chose. Like even though my human doesn't know that I chose, but my soul chose this life because I had to fast track things for me. This is how I believe, this is how I see things. And to me, like having those experiences is the best way to learn. Because if I'll tell you like, hey, your throat chakra is blocked and this is why, and this is what, you know, this is why what's happening, like, okay, great, but you need to go through this, through the experience. And honestly, not a lot of people want to do it. Not a lot of people have the bravery to do it because it's not easy, it's not comfortable. It's really uncomfortable. Reflect on with yourself. I'm going to send you home with some homework. Reflect on yourself, like how uncomfortable are you willing to be in order for you to get to your full potential, in order for you to be in alignment with your soul, in order for you to be the person that you meant to be on this earth in this lifetime. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button somewhere. I know it's probably my first video after not being here for a while, and also I've been talking about different things in the past. So from now on, I'm going to be talking about chakras, healing, awakening, triggers, shadow work, and everything in between.